They fired me. 2 months later, they came crawling back, asking me to help out as a contractor. But when my old boss demanded access to MY private work, designs I made after they dumped me, something inside me snapped. She thought she owned me, until I showed her what happens when you underestimate the wrong architect. If you've ever been taken advantage of at work or dreamed of sweet, poetic justice, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, tap that like button, and tell me in the comments, have you ever had a boss who thought they could walk all over you? Because today justice comes with blueprints. For 4 years, I gave everything I had to that firm. I was 29 and working at a small architecture company that prided itself on being a family. You know the type, potlucks, birthday cupcakes, we're all in this together energy. Except it wasn't a family, it was a business, and I was just a tool. I handled everything from client proposals to design drafts, managing multiple long-term projects. Late nights, early mornings. I'd even bring my laptop to family gatherings, pretending to just check emails, but secretly finishing 3D renderings or adjusting client blueprints. The firm's name looked polished on paper, but behind the scenes, it was chaos, constant underbidding, no project manager, and a boss who couldn't design her way out of a paper bag, but took credit for everything. Still, I believed in loyalty, I believed in earning your place. Until the email, source subject, company restructuring, meeting at 3 p.m. I still remember the way my stomach dropped when I opened it. At that meeting, my boss, let's call her Karen C because, of course, wore a polite smile, hands clasped, and said, "It's nothing personal, you've been wonderful. We're just realigning priorities." And just like that, I was laid off. 4 years of dedication reduced to a 10-minute conversation and a severance packet printed on recycled paper. I walked out with a box of my stuff, my dignity barely intact, and a mind spinning with questions. What now? Who was I without this job? But here's the thing about losing everything. Sometimes it clears the way for something better. For the first week, I did nothing. I slept late, cried a little, and binged on job listings. Then one night, sitting on my couch surrounded by sketches and empty coffee cups, I had an idea. Why work for someone who'd already proven I was disposable? Why not work for myself? I'd built connections over the years, clients who loved my work and trusted my designs. So I started freelancing, slowly at first, then steadily. Emails turned into contracts, contracts into projects, projects into glowing testimonials. 2 months in, I was making nearly the same amount I did at the firm, except I had freedom. No fake family meetings, no last-minute Friday deadlines. Just me, my laptop, and clients who respected me. I even started developing my own architectural style, cleaner, more human-focused, blending modern aesthetics with sustainable materials. It was art again, not just billable hours. I was finally happy. Then the phone rang. I'll never forget the tone in Karen's voice. Sweet, too sweet. "Trae, it's been a while. How have you been?" Instant red flag. I could almost hear the manipulation behind the politeness. I kept my tone neutral. "Choo, I've been good. Busy, actually." "What's up?" She sighed dramatically. "Tra, listen, we're short-staffed after restructuring. Things are a bit crazy. I was wondering if you'd consider helping us out on a contract basis. You know, just to finish the projects you started before you left." I almost laughed. The same projects I got laid off from finishing. But hey, it was short-term, good money, and I figured I could handle it professionally. So, I agreed. Signed a contractor agreement, limited scope, clear deliverables. No problem. Until it was. A week into the contract, I get an email from Karen A. "Can you please upload all your design files from the past year to our shared drive? The partners want access." You at first? I assumed she meant the ones from before my layoff, the company projects. So I replied, "Sure, just confirming. You mean the files from before I left, right?" She wrote back within minutes. "Sure. Actually, we'd like everything, including your recent freelance work. Since those ideas were developed while you were employed, they technically belong to us." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Wait, what? Those designs were from after I was laid off. Different clients, different tools, my own resources. Nothing about them was tied to the firm. I read the email again and again, disbelief turning into fury. They had fired me, cut me off, and now wanted to steal my work. The entitlement was unreal. I took a deep breath, then crafted my response carefully. Tor, hi Karen. The projects you're referring to were created independently after my employment ended. They are my intellectual property and not affiliated with company namey. I'm happy to share the company, related files covered in our current contract, but nothing beyond that. The next morning, I got a call. Karen's voice wasn't sweet anymore. Chor, I don't understand your attitude. Cheropee's name. You're being extremely uncooperative. Those designs were inspired by work you did here. That makes them ours. Karen, with all due respect, you can't claim ownership of things I made after I stopped working for you. You're holding company work hostage. We could have continued this contract long term, but if this is your attitude, maybe we should reconsider. I could almost hear her smirk. Classic manipulation tactic. Intimidation masked as professionalism. But she underestimated me. I wasn't that desperate, anxious employee anymore. I was my own boss now. So I said, you do what you need to do. I'll send over the contracted deliverables by Friday. Then I hung up. My hands were shaking, not with fear this time, but adrenaline, because I realized something. For once, I had the power. They wanted to play games. Fine, I spent the next few days finishing the contract work, meticulously. I backed up everything, documented every email, every timestamp, every line of communication. Then, before sending the final deliverables, I added a little surprise. Each design file was perfectly formatted, labeled, and secured, but they required a password to access. That password was sent in a separate email along with this note to where all requested deliverables are attached. As per contract terms, access will remain valid for 14 days. Please confirm receipt and acknowledgement that this completes my contracted obligations. Professional. Cold. Ironclad. When Karen saw it, she lost it. I got one final call from her assistant, panicked. Karen says the files are locked. She can't open them. I replied, once payment is processed, I'll confirm access. See, the contract clearly stated payment upon delivery, not before. They wanted to treat me like a disposable asset. Fine, they could follow the rules to the letter. 2 hours later, the payment landed in my account. I sent the password, and that was it. I was free. But the best part, 2 weeks later, I got a call from one of their former clients, one of the big ones. Apparently, they'd heard rumors that the firm was trying to claim ownership over contractors' work. That client pulled their projects and came to me directly. Karen lost one of her biggest accounts. To me. When I saw the client's name pop up in my inbox, I couldn't help but smile. It wasn't revenge in the loud, dramatic way. It was quiet, precise, the kind of justice that doesn't need applause. It just feels right. Karen had tried to take credit for my ideas. Instead, she lost business, credibility, and the one person who used to save her deadlines. And me, I was thriving. I built my freelance practice into a boutique design studio. I even hired a small team, people I treat with the respect I never got. Sometimes, I still get messages from former coworkers saying, Tor, I wish I'd left when you did. I tell them the same thing every time to Tor. Sometimes, getting fired is the best promotion you'll ever get. Here's the thing, revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's just living well while your enemies sink in the hole they dug for you. Karen thought she could own my ideas. What she didn't understand was, creativity doesn't belong to a company. It belongs to the person brave enough to imagine it. So no, I wasn't the villain for saying no. I was finally protecting what was mine. So, what do you think? Was I right to protect my work? Or should I have just kept the peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever stood up for yourself when someone tried to walk all over you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real life stories where karma wears a hard hat and carries blueprints. Until next time, remember sometimes the best revenge is owning your work and your worth.